Hey y'all. I am here today to tell you why. I took a break from my therapist. Had to take a break from Margaret. Me and Margaret just weren't vibing any longer. And while I was really committed at first, I decided to be committed to what I felt was my best interest and go ahead and decide to stop dealing with Margaret. Now, this was through a program in which, when I was unemployed back in September, I was able to get like 12 free sessions with a therapist, and I didn't get to choose the therapist or anything. So there's that. But I really liked her at first. I think that she had a lot of good things to say in her pitch. I don't know if she gets paid from the sessions that she does with me. I mean, I don't pay her. So I know that, maybe she's getting paid based on the sessions that she logs with me. But for me, and we just do them over the phone. So I don't know. We're not using any type of particular software that like tracks it or anything that I know of. But I really think sometimes therapists like just take a lot of liberties that they shouldn't. I thought that a therapist was not supposed to really like tell you what to do, but like help you decide like how to see a situation based on facts and things that you tell them. Like I didn't know that a therapist was supposed to interject their own opinion and things into a situation. Like for instance, like me and my roommate have decided that we are no longer going to live together. We had been decided that, and that was fine for us. But it seems like when I told my therapist, she didn't seem to think that I could afford to live on my own. So she just tried to encourage me to continue, like basically to say like what me and my roommate both wanted was probably not going to be possible for either one of us. And it could basically be just a pipe dream, and there's no reason for us to think that we should actually live apart. We should try to work out our issues, as if us working out our issues wasn't us deciding that we were going to live apart. Like, why did it have to be personal? And why did it have to be that our friendship still couldn't be like beautiful and strong and valuable to each one of us, even though we decided we didn't want to live together? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, maybe she didn't know how old I was. I thought she had my date of birth, but I don't know. Like, was that arrangement ever supposed to be permanent? Like, no. Like, so I just didn't understand that part, and I just didn't really resonate with what she was telling me in that arena. She told me that she was going to have to do soul surgery with me, and in order to get through to the issues that I wanted to deal with, which at that time was like my anger management, which I realize now is just stress from burnout from this toxic work environment that I was in, and lack of work-life balance and racism. I realize now that those were the issues that was causing that. And she was like, you don't have an anger management issue, but hurt people. And I'm just like, it's kind of weird that a therapist with all this training and 20 years of experience, as she said, is like saying these types of things when, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. Like, it's just, what does that explain? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I get it, but I also felt like there's a lot of people who don't lash out in anger and don't say things that they would wish they could take back to their friends and their family and their partners and things like that when they're angry. So, and they're hurt as well. Like, everybody's been traumatized in a certain kind of way. So what does that really mean? But I took it at face value at first. I really had good, I went with it in good faith because I thought I was doing the responsible thing by engaging with this person. But over time too, it's like, I just feel like I could do a lot more of the work on my own if I just, and with friends who really know how to listen. Not that all friends can do this, and not that all friends are actually going to be able to help me with every single issue, but I definitely felt that after she helped me talk through like why I might be lashing out in anger or saying things, just basically like not speaking to people in the best way that I would want to moving forward. Like, after she kind of helped me with that, she didn't really seem to be effective in other ways. She didn't really seem to understand that a friendship breaking up is different than two friends moving out from one another, from living in the same place. She also didn't seem to understand that people do change. Like, I'm sitting here as living proof of someone who changes and who has changed and who is taking it upon themselves to want to treat the people in her life better. And yet she's telling me that the person in my life who I'm actually trying to be better for, besides myself, who I'm trying to be better for, can't change their circumstances and their situation in order to give me a better experience of them, and she kind of just didn't have a higher perspective about things. I'm like, I gotta find somebody, this just goes to show, even though something is free does not mean you should accept it. And here's what really got me. And I know we're only 6 minutes into the video. I don't know how long this video has to be. It does not have to be long. Why am I even thinking that it has to be long? I don't need a lot of time to tell you why I took a break for this person and why I don't think I'll be going back. The reason is this. Yes, it's a free service for me, so maybe I should take it upon myself to call. But she also didn't call me during the one appointment that we were supposed to have. And she texted me and said, I apologize for being late or whatever the case may be. And then she actually rescheduled. And in that rescheduling, I think I didn't tell her. So the fact that we had to reschedule was originally, she took the onus on herself. I kind of didn't care. I'm not really into placing blame when it comes to things like that. Things happen. But when we had to reschedule for the rescheduled meeting, I tried to show up. I tried to be there, but it was always happening around, not this time, but around 7 or so p.m., which is kind of late for me because I still have been keeping a relative schedule of working during the day, 9 to 5, just doing research and job searching during the day. And then by the end of the day, I'm kind of tired, especially if I haven't had a lot of interaction with people. I kind of get tired. So I kept the appointment. And then she said, well, you should let me know, if you're not going to really be able to keep the appointment because I kept the appointment, but I wasn't really there. And it was probably because I was also having doubts as well. But in addition to that, she was we can talk about this and we can talk about that. It doesn't really seem like there was much of a plan. And I wasn't really feeling like talking about any of the things that she was bringing up and suggesting. I said, I don't really feel that relaxed to be able to have a session. And then she suggested I could take you through some mindfulness techniques and, all these different things. And I just, at that point, I think I had lost a little bit of faith in the process. And I know I'm telling you guys to trust the process, but part of trusting the process is realizing when you have to end something or just decide you don't want to do it at that time. And I didn't want to go through the mindfulness process with her. I hadn't even eaten. I was cooking dinner for myself and I needed to eat. And it was already getting late in the day because that's the only time that she could do it. So I was fine with just not even doing it at all. And she was just kind of adamantly saying you need to, you definitely should let me know if you're not going to be available, because then I wouldn't have to spend this time talking to you. And she said it in some kind of way that and I'm just saying, I don't know who she thinks she is, but it's okay, I've paid for therapy before. I've been through therapists before. I've fired therapists before. Who are you talking to right now? It's okay though, because there's no need for me to go there. There's no need for me to even tell you about yourself or even bring up the fact that the whole reason we had to reschedule in the first place is because you never reached out. And although I never reached out, if that was the issue, then why did you apologize? And why didn't you tell me at that time, you should have reached out for your appointment? You obviously felt some kind of onus and responsibility for needing to have this appointment with me. So if it was your bag that you were missing out on, then you should have called me, and then that maybe you could have come up with something better than just shooting at things in the dark and hoping that something hit throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something would stick, because she sounded like she was shuffling. She sounded like she wasn't really prepared. And I'm like, well, if you're not going to show up with your full self, why should I? I mean, it wasn't even that. I was just tired. But it's like, on top of that, I'm now not going to feel guilty. If we have to cancel, we have to cancel. Because I'm like, let's give each other some time back. And let's go ahead and cancel this and start again. She's like, well, you can totally say that you don't want to do it. You can say that, you want to take a break and everything. Yes, I do. Yeah, that's fine. Like, let's take a break. It's totally fine. I was trying to be committed to the process, but listen, this just goes to show, not every therapist is for everybody. Not every therapist is going to show up for you in the way that you need. And you do, I feel like if you are in therapy, if you're seeking out therapy, then you must have an awareness about yourself to a degree. And that must mean that you know yourself enough to know when something just isn't right. So go ahead and trust that. And if someone wants to exert their authority and speak to you in a certain kind of way because they have experience or because they're in this position of power, I don't know if it's necessary to always speak up. I don't feel like I needed to, because I know who I am. But at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, like, that's okay, right? I mean, okay, that's how you wanted to do it. So that's how we did it. And it's over now. And I'm kind of free. I get so much more out of my conversations with my career coach than I did with my therapist. Like, talk about empathy. Talk about not making the decision, not trying to make the decision for me, not trying to use stereotypes and blanket statements and generalizations about things that I'm going through in order to, like, she's smart and she knows how the different industries work and she understands certain principles about job searching, but she's very open-minded. She's very open-minded. She's very open-minded, and she takes me through these different thinking processes so I can come to the conclusion of saying, for myself, this is the direction I should go in. So even though we don't get into a lot of emotional things, it's really about where to live, where to work, because those things go hand in hand. I would say I want to look for those qualities in my next therapist. So that would be something that I want to see in my next therapist. Someone who is open-minded, someone who guides me towards a decision from things that I have said, not from their, not from generalizations that they pull out of the air, but from something real, and someone who causes me or reminds me to trust myself and the choices I've made up until this point and where I want to be. So that's where I'm at with it. That's why I took a break from my therapist. Just wanted to share that with you. Maybe somebody could relate to that, get something out of that. And see you in the next one.